Hey guys, it's Doc, and I'm back in my secret laboratory, which when my wife is here is known as my kitchen. So I thought I'd show you a little trick or a little device that we came up with that you can build for about, maybe $10, $15, depending on if you already have the pump. But it's an interesting little fluid bed that we came up with. Now, the reason why we came up with this is when we were developing our Gold Hog under riffle mat, we wanted to create a fluid bed. We know that fluid beds work well, and we wanted to create those characteristics within it, which means that there is constantly an active motion that the materials actually turn into more of a fluid state. So what we're trying to do is through movement of water, we actually turn material into fluid. And when you do that, you allow different densities or weights of material to actually stay where lighter materials can be displaced. If you want to get real technical about that, you can actually probably go on Google and look up Archimedes' principle, and it talks about the buoyancy and displacement of materials, and that's way back in 300 BC or something like that. But that's where it all started from. But a lot of places use a fluid bed, and there are some products on the market that use fluid beds. So we wanted to actually study that, and we actually bought some of those products and we created our own. And you know, just one day at the hardware store over in Lowe's, I was thinking of a way to make a real small one, and I came up with this little invention, I guess we'll call it. But the mat had to duplicate that, because this is an active mat, which means that it constantly is active, it constantly exchanges. So everything within this mat has to stay buoyant. All the material that falls within these little grooves is constantly moving. So it's constantly in a fluid state, which allows it to run a long term and hold only the heaviest materials based on density and weight. Okay. So enough for that technical jargon. Let's get down to the little product I made. And here's really all you're going to need. I went ahead and actually went and got another set out of the garage so that you could see it. But this is an electrical outdoor contractor box. I use a 3/4, and you can go to Lowe's, and they make some with holes on both sides, but you want to get the one on one side. Now these little things are a little bit annoying, but we don't mind them because we actually catch a lot of gold in this, and that's where you're going to use this. You're going to use this product where you're going to use it. You can use it anywhere you want, I guess. It'd be good for even testing materials on the side of a creek, because you can put this whole unit right in a creek. It's very, very small, very compact, and you could dump material into here. And believe it or not, you can dump a lot of material through this, run a lot of material through, and do a good quick testing versus panning. But where we do it is, when we run our materials over the Gold Hog mat, we have a tremendous amount of heavies. Because if we run a large mat, we run it for 3 or 4 hours, we're gonna have tons of just heavy material, and you cannot pan that stuff out. I mean, it's just solid black sand and gold. And it's like just a mud mixture. It almost looks like pudding sometimes. So what we do before we run it through something like the Gold Cube is we actually run it through this, and I'll run 2 or 3 gallons of concentrates through this little box, and I'll have a large amount of my gold sitting right in this little box, and I'll do it inside of another bucket, and then I'll take all that material again and run it through the Gold Cube. So I do this step first, believe it or not. This kind of replaces my panning step for my concentrates. I still like to pan, so I do pan. But after a while, if you've got a lot of concentrates, this little box right here really comes out well, and you can put it in a backpack, you can throw it in a truck, but it doesn't take up a whole bunch of room, and it's cheap, so you can build a couple of them if you have to. Okay, good little Christmas present for someone you know. So anyways, you're gonna need one of these contractor boxes. You'll need an end cap, a solid end cap. Don't drop it. 3/4 PVC, 3/4 regular PVC. Make sure that you understand what size PVC goes in, because it's regular. It's not the CPVC, which is for hot. It's a little bit thinner wall. But you're going to need some PVC, probably 3 or 4 feet, because you're going to make mistakes on this. You're going to need a tiny little drill bit, and I'm going to put this up. Maybe you can see it. That's about a 1/16 of an inch drill bit. We played around with this, and I like to use a lot of little holes versus the larger holes. So I make a lot of little holes. And then you'll probably need a little boring tool, a 3/4 inch boring tool. Because the problem is that when you go to this box, it has a stop unit on it. So when you put your PVC inside of it, it stops. It doesn't want to go through, but we want to go all the way through. So that was the headache for me, was once you bore this out, then I have to take my Dremel tool and then I have to go back inside and I have to grind it some more, grind it some more, grind it some more until it slides fairly loosely. You don't want it to rattle around, but you don't want it real tight when you push it in, because you've got to be able to turn this sometimes and adjust it. So there's a little fitting. So, you know, buy 2 of these and experiment with it, because you're going to make mistakes with it just like we did. Hopefully I'll save you some of those headaches. But it's pretty simple. All you're going to do is you're going to cut a piece of PVC. Once you get this box drilled, you're going to cut a piece of PVC. And then what you're going to do is you're going to mark with the end cap on it. You're going to mark where this goes into the box. Now this little, if you can cut that out, that's fine. We leave it in. But it's only going to go so far, and so I make a mark where it's exposed. I can see where it comes out here. I can see where it comes out here. So I'm going to make a mark, and then what I do is I drill holes. But you'll notice, let me try and get this. When I drill the holes on this, get it on black. There's no holes on the top side. The holes start and they're going out straight to the side and they're going down, okay? So everything from this vertical mark here, from the side mark, they're going to shoot out and they're going to shoot downward. And I put lots of little holes. Now this is one of the ones we made a mistake on, and we used a larger drill bit, and we found that we actually like to use the smaller one. You can use the larger holes. We just like to do a whole bunch of them. Now we put a ton of little holes all through here. Now the hard part is you're also going to have to put the cap on, and you're also going to have to drill holes inside the cap. Small little holes along the end here, because this is going to be facing in this way, so you want material movement in here, you want fluidization inside here, and you want it all inside, but you really want that either sideways or pointing down. So you want to get this box into a fluid bed state. Then once you drill that, you're just going to insert this tube into here, and then you're going to put on a valve switch. So let me show you what it kind of looks like when it's done. But here's a unit that I have that's actually finished. So you'll notice that I have the end cap on here. The tube slides through inside the box, and another little piece of PVC. Then I go to a ball valve that I can control it with. And then I have another little coupling set up, and I stole this off of one of my pumps. But it's just, now I can, 1 1/8 inch hose can attach onto here, and I can control it. Now we use the 1,000 gallon per hour pumps, the 1100s. They're cheap, they're $39. You could go to a 500 GPH, I guess, but we like the ability to tone it. We want to come up high, and then we want to bring it back down. Because what we learned through trial and error is it's a balancing process. It's really not so much, yeah, the holes control it. We thought it was the holes, but once you have water shooting all inside this thing, this is the important part, the control valve. Because what you're going to see, and I'm going to run this for you in a minute and show you how it works, but what you want is when you hook this up, and it's going to sit inside water, and I actually like to leave it long, by the way, because I'll set a brick or a rock on here to hold it down inside, because the tube makes it want to move. But anyways, when this starts to run, I like to leave it, I take it down to the point where when you have it on full, you're going to see water just coming out of here and gushing out of here. And what I do is I tone it down to where I don't see a lot of water coming out, but just I see the water movement inside the box. So what I do, this is pretty unscientific, is I take a handful of material that I know that will fit inside this, and I put the handful of material inside the box. And what I don't want to see is I don't want to see material just blow out. So that was our mistake in the beginning, is we had it up too high. When we put material, the box would clear out. Well, that doesn't go into the fact of the balancing of specific gravities, and that's what you're trying to achieve. So when you put material in here, you want the material to stay in the box, just barely stay in. Again, it's a balancing act. It's sort of Kentucky windage. We go back to that several times. But you'll put material in here, and the material will just sort of stay, and you'll see it moving around. Now, after you put your material in, you're going to have to test it, and you should see material pretty much active within this whole thing. Now, if you have a little section back over in here, these two little sections, they actually, we can't get them to fluidize this back section over here, just because that this is a coupler in here, and if we try and mess around with it, we'll probably screw it up. But what we did notice is that we do catch a lot of gold back in here. So a lot of the gold will actually, as it's being fluidized, will come into here and get trapped inside this little box here. But you're going to see all kinds of gold all inside these little crevices and everything else. So what you're going to do is you're going to put this in under the water. You're going to turn the water flow, watch the water flow, and watch the water flow. And again, you don't want it shooting out. You just want it boiling in here. You're going to take a handful of material. Put a handful of material in and watch. And that material that you just put in should stay in the box. Again, it should stay in the box, but it should be fluidized. Again, that's what a fluid bed does. A fluid bed turns solid material into a fluid state. Understand that? So we take a solid material, because of pressurized water, we turn it into a fluid state, and it allows it to go into a free-flowing mode under gravity, just like a fluid does. So that's why you can have that separation that allows the heavier specific densities to stay inside there. So once we put it in, we let it stay, and then the material doesn't escape. So what the principle of a fluid bed again is as you put material in, the heavier material sink, and it will displace some material, gently displace, and that's what you want to see. You want to see a gentle displacement. You don't want to see stuff blowing out. You'll just see it gently displace. As you put more in, that amount will generally fall out, and that's what you want to go. And you can run a lot of material through this little box, because remember, all you're trying to do is just catch, a little bit of gold inside this box. So you don't have to have it too big. And then what you do, is nice about it, is you can take this, just take it out of the water, take the rock off of it, shut off the water, and now what you can do is you can just take this, knock it inside your pan, go back, grab a scoop of water, rinse it off, knock it inside your pan. Again, keep washing it, knocking it, even spin this a little bit sometimes, just to make sure you're getting all the gold out. And now you can pan that. And you'll find a lot of gold that's captured inside this box. And now you can take this material that went outside of this, and now you can run it through a gold cube or whatever your final processing is. So this is a good step before you go to your final processing. It's sort of a cheater step. It's sort of like advanced panning, where you can just put your material through it, put it through it, and then boom, now you go back, get all your concentrates, go to your final step, but you've cheated a little bit, and you've probably gotten a lot, especially your larger gold, but this will hold fine gold too. We've caught easy -50 and some -100 and -100 in this when it's set right, so it'll catch fine and large gold together. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go outside and I'm going to run it for you, and we're going to try and catch some gold with it. So hold on just a sec. Okay guys, you're going to have to bear with me because it is cold as heck out here. It's windy, and I'm afraid that you're going to get a lot of wind noise, but just bear with me. And my sacrifice is your gain, I guess. So we're going to run it here in a second. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on so you can see it. And again, what I've done is I've already set it through the ball valve, and you can see that the fluid bed is actually active now. Let me get a little tighter zoom in on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I'm going to drop a few particles in it. And you'll be able to see those particles dance. They don't really blow out of the machine, they're just sort of dancing there, and that's what you want to get. Try and get a little bit tighter on that for you. I'll do it one more time. But you can see that the majority of the even moderate to heavies are sort of sitting in there. You've got some mica floating out, but that's about the level. You don't want to have a big blowout going on. So it's a little cold out here today, so I'm going to get moving. I'm going to put this stuff through. And what's kind of funny is you can actually see that rock in there dancing, I think. I don't know if you can or not. But let me zoom out just a little bit so you can see that I'm putting them in here. I've got some concentrates here, and to be honest, I don't know exactly what kind of gold there is in here. Now, I want to make this level, which it's not. But you can see that fluid bed action in there right now. And the materials are mostly staying in there. There's a good dancing motion all in there. I'm just going to pour them in. And again, turn the solid material into a fluid state. And I really want to get a picture of that kind of up close, so let me get out of the sunlight. Let me zoom into it a little bit. Get the pine needle out of there. As you can tell, it's cold, it's January, even in Georgia. So now you can see how that fluid motion is happening there, and there's piles outside of it. It's a pretty cool little system, but the majority of the box is within a fluidized state. Again, you'll see some corners that really aren't, but that's okay. So let me dump some more in there. Like I said, this bucket is about 2 gallons of material that I'm going to run through. And if it starts to build up around the edge, just sort of clear it away. I want to put through 2 gallons of material in here. This is mixed. This is not just solid concentrate. There's some concentrates, and I know that there's some gold in here. I don't know how much, because this was one of our old testing run buckets. I've cleared it away a couple times. About 2 gallons of material has been run through there, and you can see that it pretty much is staying close to the same as it was when we first started it. And that's the whole principle, is that it displaces only the lighter materials, the heavier materials remain. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a shake here for a minute. And again, you can see this setup. We put a rock on it, we've got it attached to the hose. Let me give it a little bit of a shake here. And again, I like to just give it a little bit of a shake. And get the rest of the light material out of there. Now I'm going to turn it off after I got myself all wet. But now let's take this off. And that's what we have left out of 2 gallons of material. Okay, so now I'm going to get my bowl. And that water's kind of nasty. I'm going to get my bowl. I'm going to try and show you. Now I can just dump it in like this. That's really cool. Scoop a little bit of water, clean it out again. And just keep scooping and dumping. Check it. And now you can just go ahead and you can either finish panning. So what I'll typically do is I'll just pan this out, striate it really well, go in, take any of the big rocks out. But be careful not to take too many, because if you're running straight concentrates, you might have some nuggets in here. So let's see what was in here. You can see the gold in there. And there's the gold. And again, I've got gold. I'm already seeing minus 50 gold right here. Let me see if I can get that a little closer. A little speck of minus 50. There's a speck right there. That's probably minus 100. Little tiny speck. You can see the gold inside there. That just shows you that this little thing actually really works really well. Again, very fine gold up in here. You've got it, you know, there's no big nuggets that were in this anyways, but there's a lot of fine gold actually up in here that I'm now getting on my finger. There's some that I didn't do a good job on panning, but again, this little tool where you're going to use this it's a good step. This is a good step where on your concentrates, if you want to run it through here first, we really like to see it running through concentrates. We use it sometimes for test panning instead of actually panning because we can run a bunch of material through here and we know what we're doing. We put this right in the creek. So we'll just set this right in the creek, throw a rock on top of it, and actually turn the motor on, take a smaller battery with us and do some test panning that way. Now we've gone through here and we've actually gone through and retested material that was in here, and we found very little material, very little gold that actually escaped this box. Now we did find it in the first, before we put this ball valve on it and we had good control over the flow, we did have some issues with it, but once we put this ball valve on it, it's been a great little tool. So guys, I'm gonna stop freezing my butt off out here, and I hope you enjoyed this little tip. And please don't forget to check out our gold matting at goldhog.com and let us know if you have any questions on it. Thanks so much.